All right, what's up, everybody? Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Glad to be with you for another live stream. We call it the Bloggers and Basements, Talking Steelers. Little poorly done riff off of the comedians in cars getting coffee, the old Jerry Seinfeld thing. Anyway, yeah, usually again, gonna have this on Friday around 3. 3:30. I was not around though yesterday, so I pushed it back to today. I see already have one question in, so let me get to that right away here. Uh, Avon Druska 8, if I'm saying that right. He asks, do you think Keith Butler's trying to, what did he say, save blitzes for later in the season? No, I don't think he's trying to save them in the sense, I think he's most of the fire zones and stuff that Butler's run before, it's on tape, teams know about it. I think the goal was for them to just not they were their goal was to get pressure with a 4-man rush. Butler's talked about it, Mike Tomlin's talked about it. They had to manufacture pressure last year. So the goal this year was to try to see if they could get pressure without all the kind of fire zones and blitz and manufacturing that Keith Butler had to do last year. Obviously that hasn't worked remotely this year. So I think, hopefully starting this week, I think Keith Butler has hinted at it that you're going to see some different stuff, and that's probably going to mean, going back into his fire zones and his kind of, bag of tricks. But I don't think it's a deliberate saving the blitzes. I think he was just trying to do what they set out to do, which was to get pressure with a 4-man rush and to try to do that in a couple creative ways. And again, it hasn't worked, but I don't think it was an idea to save it. It was just they were trying to accomplish what they said they needed to accomplish, and so far they haven't. But yeah, I saw that question come in, I think even before we started the stream, so I appreciate you guys hopping on. Hopefully, yeah, we get kind of this going um, to where people know when this is happening and it becomes a routine thing, and the more and more people join, the more fun it's going to be. Um, let me post the link to this before I forget. So hopefully we get some couple more people in. But you can definitely always ask in the chat, and then once I post the link on Steelers Depot, you can ask on the comment section there, and you can ask on Twitter as well. Really, whatever's best for you to reach me. So that's totally cool with me. So let me, cause I always start the stream before I post the link, so it's active as soon as I post the article. So let me just get that set up. And then hopefully that gets a couple more people on board. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, any play you want to see, I might go through a couple plays here. In a loss like that, obviously the Eagles game, it's tough to watch. There isn't anything in particular that you can point to and say this is why they lost the game. They lost in every phase. We've talked about that several times. You know that. I don't need to be the one that really tells you that. But I'll definitely go back and look at some plays if I haven't gotten really any questions, or if no one really has anything to add, because I know it's hard to really say anything after a horrible game like this. You just kind of throw your hands up and say, let's move on to next week. So let me just finish getting the stream posted on Depot. Again, I'll kind of flip back and forth throughout the chat on Depot, on YouTube, on Twitter, just to see, make sure I haven't missed a question, because I don't want to miss any questions. And if I have, please let me know if I haven't gotten to your question. Alright, I think everything is posted now, so I'll keep an eye on all that. Yeah, I think we've broken down this game pretty good. Myself, Dave, Matthew, Josh, the whole group. It's hard to even find a place to begin. I'll just kind of go through it chronologically, and I'll talk a little bit, and as I see questions, we'll get to those for sure. But here's the field goal block. This is kind of the first a real great play that the Eagles made. That was the drop by Marcus Wheaton that cost a touchdown. That wasn't really anything the Eagles did. It was just the Steelers' own problem. But Danny Smith talked about it. He said it was a leverage issue, and what you're going to see here, blocks going to come by Benny Logan here, lined up in the A gap over David DeCastro. And there's Vinny Curry there. They overload the Steelers' left side. There's 6 guys here with only 5 to block. It's only 4 over here with 4 to block. So you can see why they kind of got that. They're really, because you can't line up over center anymore. They changed that rule. You can't line up head over the long snapper. They've kind of modified that rule to protect those guys. So the Eagles kind of do the next best thing and really just kind of jam that A gap, and that's a nice job by their special teams coach. Can't remember his name, Dave Taub or something like that. Maybe it's not that important, but what's going to happen here? It's just going to be a leverage issue. I guess the cash are just not getting low enough, and they get under him. It's a tough task because you have two, Curry's probably 275, and Logan is over 3 bills coming at you, and they're just able to kind of get under the cash. You see how high up the cash pops up here, and I don't. Warren probably could have given more help. It's tough spots for a long snapper to be in, especially when you have a 300-some-pound guy crashing through. You really can't do a whole lot. But you see they're able to leverage him. There's Logan getting his hand up, and he's able to block the football. And Smith had said the next time around that the Steelers did a much better job of getting leverage, and you actually get a good look at this here on the only points of the day, the Chris Boswell 40-yard field goal. So we'll kind of compare and contrast and see the difference from the block field goal to the successful field goal, and you get a nice look at it here. So again, Eagles doing the same thing. 6 guys overloading these A gaps here. There's Logan, there's Curry, there's DeCastro, and DeCastro's able to get low this time and not let to. Now they ended up kind of changing the scheme too, which I'm surprised that they did. I figured they might just kind of try to do the same thing, but they loop Logan over to the other side, and but you see DeCastro able to stay low, not popping up, and it's a pretty clean, relatively clean, area for Boswell to connect. So I'll let this run through. Good day, college football today. I know we have the big game tonight. I'm really excited for Louisville Clemson. So that's going to be just a big one. Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson, two of the better quarterbacks in the league. Lamar Jackson playing out of his mind. Notre Dame, Michigan, or Notre Dame, Syracuse is the one I've been watching now. We have Michigan and Wisconsin coming up about 20 minutes. So the great day for college football. You got the Steelers playing tomorrow at Kansas City, or versus Kansas City. It's a home game. And Sunday Night Football. So if you guys just jumped in, Alex Kozora, Steelers Depot. Again, pushing back the live streamer day. Supposed to be Friday. They'll usually be Fridays. Just was not around yesterday, so I pushed it back to today. And that usually probably means less people because weekends people are out, either they're watching college football or they're just out and about living their lives and all that good stuff. So hopefully we get some people in. So tell your friends if you know a good Steelers fan. And you can ask any questions through Steelers Depot, through Twitter, through the YouTube chat, however you want to do it, whatever works best for you. I'll be sure to keep checking them. And we'll go through some plays here if we're not really getting a whole lot going on in the chat for the couple of people that I know that are in here right now watching. But yeah, ugly game against the Eagles is really not a whole lot more to say. We've talked about it anyway. What's kind of been going on with Pittsburgh and the 34-3 loss against the Eagles. So yeah, we started with a blocked field goal. That was kind of the first negative thing. Eagles can march down the field. They get a field goal of their own. You got 2 chunk plays off of it. Here's the 40-yard pickup to Darren Sproles. And this is just kind of, credit to Doug Peterson and that coaching staff. They've really created a great environment for Carson Wentz. whether it's offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, the coaching staff in general across the board. They do a really nice job of mixing guys that have been in the league for a while versus relatively new guys just coming out of the league. They can share those experiences about what the game is like today, and it's pretty relatable. But it's about misdirection. They scheme things up really well. Here's the 40-yarder to Sproles. They're going to do three things here, really. They're going to, put Selleck off ball to motion him, and they're going to run that split zone look where it looks like, Selleck's going to come across the formation zone, zone run play. And so it gets everyone crashing hard because you're thinking, okay, Ron, here's the fullback, Selleck coming across. But there's no handoff. So the second thing they do is they're going to fake the end around to Nelson Aguilar. So now you're worried about the end around. So now you're starting to flow to the defense's left because now you're thinking, okay, it's not going to be the split zone. It's now going to be an end around. So now you get everybody moving this way. Here goes Timmons. There goes Tuitt. They're all spinning. They're all moving that way. And then finally, the third element is the actual throw. The screen left to Darren Sproles, and you can just see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll see it better in the end zone angle here in a second. There's no one near. There's one Steeler remotely, within 10 yards of Sproles, and the only guy with an actual shot, and kind of the only guy in the pathway. And you got 1, 2, 3 blockers out there for Philadelphia. So your next closest guy is way back at the Steelers' own 36.5 yard line, and the throws at the Eagles 40. And get a 40-yard gain out of it. There's nothing Gay can do there at the bottom. He just kind of has to try to slow it up the best he can, and Golden's able to push him out of bounds, way down the line. But you get that split zone low classic, tight end off ball. You're thinking, okay, because when they run split zones, the tight end's going to be off the ball, because he can't be on the line of scrimmage, because then he's not going to get across the formation. He's going because the line's coming down to the left and their zone blocks. He's going to get caught up in that. So tight ends on split zones always have to be lined up off the ball. So you're seeing that motion. You're thinking, okay, that's the alert. You see the actual motion by Selleck on the snap. You're thinking, okay, that's split zone. You can kind of tell it's not a run play though, because you're seeing the hi hats of the lineman, hi hat Peters for sure. That's not characteristic of a zone run. But then you get the end around here, so now it's moving everybody else to the right. Here goes Mitchell, there goes Timmons, Tuitt, Moats, Hayward, Forts is kind of coming up the middle. But I mean, this is a throw to Sproles. Here's Sproles here for the actual outcome of the play. And there's everybody just going the other direction because of the misdirection was schemed so well by the Eagles. And so again, these guys have no shot. You're not going to catch Darren Sproles. You're not going to catch anybody. So now here's all the path that Sproles has. There's one guy. I'm not even sure who that is. Sean Davis maybe. And now you have Jason Kelsey and Brandon Brooks. That's Barbary throwing a block out there, and it's nothing but green grass. Until Robert Golden's finally able to shove him out of bounds. So that was kind of the first huge chunk play, the first 40-yard completion given up of the year by Pittsburgh. And I think the Steelers would have 2 of those allowed in this game. That and the other one by Sproles, the 73-yard touchdown. Let's look for the next kind of really big play. See what I want to go with here. Something we haven't broken down. Yeah, this is 3rd and 12, and the Eagles had been either the worst or just about the worst team in 3rd and 6 plus this year. And so here they are, 3rd and 12. Great get off down for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had been one of the best teams in stopping teams 3rd and 6. I think the Eagles were something like the worst, and the Steelers were the 3rd best or 2nd best, somewhere around there. And the Eagles again do a nice job scheming it up. This is just going to be kind of a split dig concept where you're going to get the actual throw is going to go at the end of my cursor here to Green Beckham at the top. He's going to run a dig route, and then you're going to get just a vertical seam route by the slot receiver by number 2. So it's going to carry the defender here. It's going to be able to leverage the cornerback here as soon as Green Beckham crosses his face. Kind of boxes out Ross Cockrell because Green Beckham's a big body. So we'll run it through. And I think the Steelers are basically, let me look here, and basically a quarters defense, which they actually ran a good bit against the Eagles. It's not really something they do that often. Usually in this situation, they're going to play two man or just cover three or cover two. But to play quarters where you're having one quarter, dividing the field into quarters. Well, he plays 1/4, he plays 1/4, 1/4, 1/4 of the field. And again, as you get this seam, it's going to carry the number two here, and it's going to open up the dig to Green Beckham here in front of Cockrell. And then underneath, I think you get something in the flat that's going to move the flat defender. I think. Let me look. Well, you get a nice reroute here, but the flat defender is going to settle, start to widen a little bit as he sees the crosser come along. So he's no longer getting depth. He's now kind of attacking the crosser. As the whole curl defender sees the crosser coming, and just a nice, good break by Green Beckham. No, not sinking in his break, staging his run right down the 50-yard line. So it's about a 20-yard dig. And again, it's a clean pocket. We broke this one down earlier. One of my other videos on Steelers Depot. And Wentz has all the time in the world. Clean pocket makes a great throw. It's a great confidence booster for him. Kind of validates him and says, yeah, we got it today. So that one, that was a tough pill to swallow just because 3rd and 12, that's a down the Steelers have been getting off all year long, and kind of an ominous sign for that game. And a couple plays later, the Eagles would get their first touchdown and take a 10-0 lead. And then after the Boswell field goal, again, another penalty by Pittsburgh. A lot of penalties in this game, very sloppy, uncharacteristic of them. Again, we broke this one down in the Depot video about the Steelers pass rush, but just to look at it again here, talking to you guys, just lose contain. There's no, you got to keep a lid on everything. And I know there's some play action here, but you're going to see Jarvis Jones get sealed down here, and it's going to create an open space for Wentz to be able to scramble here on 1st and 10. So you're bringing pressure, you're bringing Mike Mitchell down, and you end up getting some pressure by James Harrison. He gets under Barbary, the left guard here. But because there's no contained rush at all, it's just nothing but green, especially for a right-handed quarterback like Carson Wentz. You can't do that. I mean, it's covered well. There's some blitz. There could be some potential pressure. There's a contained rush here. Wentz can't go anywhere. I bet you Harrison gets a sack. Bet you anything. But now Wentz has an open pocket. He's a great athlete. Can definitely hurt you with his legs, and he picks up the first down. Keeps the drive alive. Gets into Steelers territory, and they get a field goal out of it. Let's see. Yeah, there's the screen pass that the Steelers had just called a timeout because the Eagles are in 3rd and 11 again. Eagles terrible 3rd and long. Steelers great defensively 3rd and long. Can't allow. I think the Steelers allowed 3 conversions of 3rd and 10 plus, and this is another of them. This is a screen down. Tomlin talked about it to be alert for it, and again some of the misdirection, some of the window dressing. You're gonna get the motion by Sproles. They're gonna fake the swing pass to him, come back other side, throw the tight end middle screen to Trey Burton. And, I mean, everybody's biting on it. I mean, William Gay, again, only guy in the area, 3 linemen. Cockrell's got his back turned. Or, that's not Cockrell. Artie Burns has his back turned. And now, Burton's a good athlete. And you got blockers in space. And it's just disappointing. I mean, you talk about getting out schemed, out coached. These are the kind of plays where, the Eagles were the puppeteer. And the Steelers were the puppet. And Eagles were just pulling the strings and doing whatever they wanted to do, and with a great deal of success. So again, you're just getting everybody away. Jarvis Jones, just recognized screen. He's kind of out of position, and so now by the time you get the screen, you got 3 linemen in space on just a cornerback, William Gay, and that's no contest in that scenario. So we'll run it through. So again, these are the kind of plays that sum up what happened. Just as ugly can be. It's bad as Pittsburgh's played. And just to lose like that, again, the worst loss in the Mike Tomlin era. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to send them in. On Steelers Depot, on the YouTube chat, Facebook, Twitter, however you want to send it, feel free to. Goal is here to be here for about an hour. We might cut it a little short if the stream, if people don't really seem interested today, if there's really no one hanging around. But definitely feel free to ask a question. We'll run through a couple more plays here. And this was kind of the big one that kind of broke the Steelers. It's a 13-3 game, early second half. Eagles first drive of the half. Still manageable game, ugly first half, but certainly not impossible. Steelers have come back from deficits before. Talk about Denver game last year, they came back from an even bigger deficit, won that football game. But this kind of felt like the dagger, and I think Tunch Ilkin broke it down on Steelers.com, and right after the game, even before we had the general public had the coaches film. So I didn't even break it down because Tunch did a really good job with it, and I didn't want to be redundant. But we'll look at it real quickly here. I think him and I basically have the same thoughts on this. And the Steelers stunt. It's a four-man rush with Tuitt and Hayward. They're going to stunt up front, so it creates some pressure. But once again, a good athlete, able to find the escape lane. And the Steelers were in cover three here, but you're going to see Ross Cockrell. He follows the dig route by the tight end. I'll run this back so you can keep an eye on it. Here's Cockrell here at the bottom. And I bet one of the problems is because the Eagles were in what some people call verbiage changes, but what some people call a trio formation, where you have three receivers at the top and a tight end attached at the bottom. So there's no, it's 3-by-1, but it's a tight end at the bottom, and you have all three receivers at the top. It's not usually you're going to get a tight end with two receivers and one receiver isolated backside. That's common, but this trio is a little less common, and it's something the Seagulls have really faced. So I don't know if there was confusion about in cover three how you're going to handle your assignment against trio. Eagles run it a lot. You'll see the Chiefs coming up. Very very much like the Eagles. Andy Reid coached Doug Peterson for the past 6 years. Peterson played under him in 1999 as quarterback for the Eagles. So I don't know if that had something to do with it. I'm guessing it did. Just kind of confusion, a new look that you haven't really had to defend and worry about. But I'll run this through. The Steelers are in just a straight cover three. There's nothing special about it. You're going to get four under, 1, 2, 3, 4, three over the top. And Cockrell ends up following Burton on the dig route. Now, it doesn't excuse what ends up happening with Ryan Shazier, because now you're in a scramble drill. Shazier has to probably stay in coverage. He now has to kind of help on the wheel route. But I think Dave's talked about it, and I think what's obvious here is I bet you Shazier thought that Cockrell was still in his deep third, and Shazier could be more aggressive because he thought he had his help over the top if Cockrell was sitting right here or something, so he didn't have to carry the wheel. Because let's say that Wentz was still in the pocket. If this becomes a wheel route, I mean you're going to help wall him off a little bit, pin him to the sideline, but he's probably not going to carry Sproles the whole way because that's Cockrell's responsibility. That's a deep third. That's no longer Shazier. He's going to be the curl flat defender. So Shazier kind of gets stuck in a difficult spot though. For whatever reason, at the last second, he starts to not really even sure what he's trying to do at this point, unless he thought Wentz was beyond the line of scrimmage. I mean, he's right at it, so maybe he thought he had passed it. Because you're not going to try to sprint in from that far away because you're not going to get to Wentz in time. So maybe Shazier thought that he was past the line of scrimmage, and so Shazier starts to break down. It's literally the second that Wentz had just released the football, and now no deep third defender. Sproles wide open, one-on-one with Sean Davis in a tough spot. Tomlin did say he didn't do a good job of pinning Sproles to the sideline, though. I think given the angle, it is a little tough to try to stop Sproles in space. I think Davis was trying to slow this down, but I just noticed this. The Eagles players, they knew it was 6. They knew Sproles was going to win that battle, and I think Davis was just trying to slow it down and see if help could arrive and get Sproles to kind of change directions. But at this point, Burns makes a nice effort play coming across to try to stop it. But I mean, it's just Sproles is still that good at age. I don't know what he is, 31 or 33, and he finds the end zone. So yeah, that was a tough pill to swallow. That By that point, you're kind of like, all right, well, this game's a bust, and it just got worse from there. Again, you get some good pressure up front. You're gonna run that stunt with Hayward and Tuitt. It's one of the few that really had worked well. I don't know, Barber might have tripped or something on the center. Kind of gets turned, opens his hips. and once able to extend the play, eyes downfield, Shazier's, no man's land. Davis on a great angle, and Sproles just weaves in and out the rest of the way, and scores 73-yard touchdown. And Sproles had, I looked it up. I did post it in my stats of the weird. Sproles had basically the best performance by a running back against Pittsburgh since 1967. So I forget what I think the final stat line was. Something like Sproles had 6 catches for 125 yards and a touchdown. Um, so yeah, I mean it's just there was some historical numbers put up against the Steelers in that game. But if you guys have any other questions or any of the plays that you want to look at or questions about Kansas City, feel free to ask in the chat or on Depot in the comment section on the post that's up right now with a link to the live stream or on Twitter. This stream will be archived and up later, so if you just jumped in late or if you missed something or if you have to run out, you can definitely see it all later. So hopefully you guys are having a good Saturday watching some college football. Like I said, I've been watching a little bit today. Have my teams on TV today, or at least alumni Clarion, one of the local channels, and they are getting destroyed by a team that probably shouldn't be destroying them. And they're playing Edinburgh, and Edinburgh just actually scored another touchdown, and we're not even at the half, and Edinburgh is up 40-7, pending the extra point. And Clarion's supposed to be a good team this year. They were a good team last year. They had a really potent offense, but they were playing far from it this year, and they were just getting trounced by Edinburgh right now. It's kind of tough to watch. But let me run through the coaches from again. I don't want to keep you guys waiting. Hey Dan Smith, what's up? Can we expect to see more from James Harrison? Are they saving him too? I just read about that, Dan, earlier this week. I think that's one of the, in terms of personnel changes, I think that's one thing they have to do. I think they got to play Harrison more. He's playing the third fewest snaps. And what's even worse than that is that he's dropping into coverage the most of any linebacker, outside linebacker on this team. He's dropping into coverage 30% of the time. And I get that the right outside linebacker probably drops more often in the Steelers system than the left outside linebacker. But Harrison is just, you have to let him do what he does best. He's your best edge guy right now in terms of a pass rush, and he's dropping into coverage the most. It's very basic. It's very counterintuitive. So I would love to see Harrison start this week, even if you still want to start Jarvis Jones. This team likes Jarvis Jones and wants to play him a lot because he's a younger guy. He just gives him some good stuff as a run defender. He's an effort player. You can always start him at left outside linebacker. Jones has played both sides. I'm sure they're comfortable doing that. You can rotate in Moats after, give maybe a tiny bit to Chicolo if you have to. But I get why they're trying to limit Harrison because he is 38. Because you do worry about wear and tear. Because I think the last 2 seasons he has missed games later in the year with a knee injury. He's usually going to miss a game or two. But with the horrible state the pass rush is in right now, I just think you have to bite the bullet and say Harrison's got to play more. So I would love to see him start because I think he really needs to get this pass rush, jumped again just to do something. Because I mean, you really can't improve your roster, but you obviously really can't go out and get somebody because at this point everyone wants to keep what they have, and no one's trading away pass rushers in the NFL. Those are gold. But I mean, you can change the play time a little bit, and I think Harrison has to play more. So if he doesn't start, at least see an uptick in snap count and drop into coverage a lot less. So, and he didn't drop into coverage a ton against the Eagles. His very first snap he did, but I think their next 12 pass rush opportunities he had, he rushed every time. So maybe they're wising up a little bit. Yeah, maybe it was a show of faith. I think the goal. I think again, the first 3 weeks you're trying to accomplish your preseason goals in the sense of okay, let's get a 4-man pressure. Let's see if we can do that. Let's see if we can limit Harrison to 25 snaps per game. Remember that's what Joey Porter said 2 years ago, 25 snaps per game, which is about what Harrison's playing. Some of that's because also blowouts. In this fourth quarter, he barely played against Washington. I don't know how much he played in the fourth quarter. I know obviously he had the interception late. But yeah, so I think you get it because their plan was Jarvis, Moats, they're going to be the starters. Harrison, limit him. But hopefully after 3 games, after you get a sample size and you try some different things and you give guys chances to rebound and improve their game, you kind of sit there and say, all right, we got to make some big changes. So I remember, what was it, 2013, 2014, when the Steelers started out 0-3 or 0-4. I think 0-4 actually, that last game in London. Then they kind of made some really big changes after that. Now at that point, the season's kind of a bust. But so usually 3-4 weeks in, after that first quarter, that first chunk of the season, you got to start making some changes. And hopefully after week 3, after you've kind of gotten a good feel and say, okay, we're not getting what we need out of Jarvis and Moats, let's start making some changes. So maybe they're not as immediate as some people would hope for, but you do want to try to have a plan, stick to it, give your plan a chance, and then you pull the plug and say, okay, let's go in a different direction. So maybe that's it. Um, but you got to see change at least. You can understand and defend it for a short time and say that's the plan, but now you have to see some change. And if you don't see some change, then that's I think a bigger concern, because it really just shows you're being stubborn and not doing some things to try to make this team better. There's no guarantee it's going to work, but you got to try something different. Definition of insanity, all that fun stuff. Let's see if we have any other. Let me look for any other questions here. Yep, feel free to ask them in the chat. Let me check the site and Twitter. Nothing really there yet. But yeah, at this point, it's a 23 game. Kind of feels out of reach at this point, even knowing how potent the Steelers' offense was. The Steelers do get a little drive going here. This ends up being they're on the Eagles 38, 20-3, kind of a play that you have to have. I'm not even really sure what happens here. We'll look at it together though. Just kind of the Eagles are in. I think probably 2-man here, two deep shell, cornerback shell technique. Maybe it's just cover 2. I can't really tell because no one's in man coverage on Eli Rogers. And this is the play Rogers actually got hurt on with his turf toe or toe foot, whatever exactly is happening. But if they complete that, maybe you get something. I guess Rogers, just getting hurt, so it's hard to really say fault on that play. Just something happened coming out of his break. And nearly picked off, and the Steelers have to punt. And I think the Eagles scored on their next drive, and they did. They got face mask on the ensuing play, and just another penalty. They get a chunk play to Brent Selleck. And this basically is just a sail route, running that Y over, which we know the Steelers have killed the Steelers time and time again, but it creates the sail. Sail route's a vertical concept, a corner route of sorts, and a flat route. Vertical concept takes away the in this case cover 3, the deep third defender. The flat route holds the flat defender, and then you run the sail kind of in between. So now you've cleared out 2 defenders. Hopefully you open up your third, and it gets behind the linebacker. There's your, the receiver number 1 carrying vertical, flat being held, and Selleck ends up being wide open here in the middle. So the concept works to perfection. It's that over concept, and it becomes a sail concept. Steelers have gotten a little better defending it. There were some times throughout this game where they did do a better job of being able to identify and take away this over route, but still not there. And against the Steelers cover 3, in any cover 3, it's a big weak spot. Basically, any sort of flood concept against cover 3 is gonna be an issue. Forwards and flood concepts are kind of the biggest problems that cover 3 faces, and the Steelers are still a cover 3 base team. Let's get a nice shot there for 24 yards and well in the Steelers territory. Then just some run defense problems, which is uncharacteristic of them. We'll run through these 2 clips here, gains of 14 and 12 yards. And it's almost identical plays. It's kind of funny because it almost looks like the same play. I bet you when you watch this through, you'll first for a second think this was the same exact play, but they are 2 different ones. But they're just split zone looks. Actually some power, so you're getting a pulling guard here, so it's not really a zone, it is a power, man gap concept. I guess you're trying to get some sort of scrape and replace here. Moats is coming down to wrong arm the guard, and Mintz is coming over the top. And because they're pulling two guys here, you're able to seal. It's Barberry sealing Moats down. Tight end kicks out. Vince Williams, Shazier can't get off the block. He gets stuck. And you get the alley for him right there. There's no alley defender coming down. Safety's down the other way. And now you have Sean Davis having to make the tackle. So, I might even call that, in a way, almost a pin and pull scheme, but it's a little different. Because usually pin and pull, you're going to get two linemen coming here. It's the guard and the tight end. Something the Steelers will do a little bit as well, to kind of their counter tray play. But you get a nice seal by Barberry, kick out here by the tight end on Vince Williams. Shazier can't get off a block, so it's the old Lombardi. Seal here, seal there, alley here. It's a great job by Lane Johnson on Shazier. So the next play, this goes for, I think, 14. The next one goes for 12. And it looks strikingly similar. It's the same concept, same run, same thing, same result. That happens the whole way through and through. Really no difference. Again, tight end off the ball. We're going to get a couple of pullers. Left guard pulling, tight end off ball pulling. Moats crashing down on it, trying to wrong arm it. Vince scraping over the top. Moats gets sealed. Kick out. Shazier can't get off the block. But he looks like he's got to keep that outside arm free at least. And he gets sealed to the inside by Lane Johnson. Another alley. Nice run. Nice spin. I think that's Wendell Smallwood. And he's able to make Davis miss and get down close to the goal line. So we'll run it through full time one more time. It's the same exact concept. And Steelers defend it the same exact way. And it's the same exact result. And they get a touchdown, I think, 2 plays after this. So that's frustrating, at the very least. Michael Red, hopefully you're watching the stream. Send us in on Twitter. Please provide some thoughts on Dangerfield's capabilities. How do you think they use Jordan when paired with Mitchell? I think the Steelers' mentality, to answer your second question, isn't going to be any different. I think they're going to use him the same way they would use Golden and Shark or whoever, you or I. I think he's going to be used the same exact way. That's kind of the standard. In terms of his strengths and capabilities, he's a big hitter. He's a really good tackler. He's a high energy guy, high effort guy. Plays with a chip on his shoulder. He's been fighting to make this roster forever now. He's a guy that's been done well on special teams for this team this year. And that was kind of his calling card, how he made the roster finally this year. Also, given the lack of depth at safety, kind of helps the stars kind of align. Dangerfield's been the same player before, but a little more experienced, and the opportunity opened up a lot clearer for him this year. So it's pretty clear that they've soured on Shamarko Thomas as a defender basically as much as you can. And it's kind of weird that, presuming the Dangerfield starts, because I guess we don't know 100% yet, but, Dangerfield didn't come in first in the first 3 weeks whenever there was a safety issue. So, whenever someone's had to come in to replace a safety, it's been Shamarko Thomas, including last week for one snap. And he played, I think, 4 against the Bengals when Mitchell got a little dinged up. So it's weird that Shamarko would be the one to come in on the fly, but then after the full week of preparation, they decided to go Dangerfield. So, Shark's a good guy. He's worked hard. He's a good special teamer. I've tried not to be super critical of him because I think we all know who he is at this point. But man, yeah, to lose your spot to Jordan Dangerfield, who, not to take anything away from him, he's worked his butt off. He's earned it. Good luck to him. Rooting for him, rooting for anybody. But just to lose your spot to a guy that got cut right before training camp last year, just to fill a third team offensive line spot. That just kind of speaks volumes about the concern they have about playing Shamarko Thomas. So maybe Shark gets some sort of role in a sub-package football. I don't know. We'll see how much Sean Davis plays. He's going to dress. Just no idea how much he's actually going to play. What Justin Gilbert's sub-package role is going to be. I'm trying to figure out how they might use Justin Gilbert, and I don't know how they're going to fit him. I think he might rotate with Artie Burns and some stuff at right corner. Because it's hard to get him and Gay and Cockrell and Burns all on the field at the same time because who's going to play the slot. Like I was trying to go through it. I couldn't find an alignment that seemed to gel with what we've seen and what we know about these guys' skill sets. So, that's going to be something to watch. I'm guessing they're probably not going to play much time tomorrow. They didn't do it last week when the injuries happened. They kind of abandoned that because they just didn't have they hadn't repped it. They didn't have the personnel to do it. So I'm probably going to stay in nickel most of the time this week against the Chiefs, which is fine. I mean, the Chiefs don't have a crazy amount of weapons. I mean, they have some big guys at tight end, but um, they're not super deep at receiver, and they don't really use them that often anyway. Sherry Macklin, Chris Conley. Conley has 9 catches this year through 3 games. Beyond that, Albert Wilson, and that's about it. So you can probably get away with playing a lot of nickel this week, and I'm sure that they will. Michael, thank you, man. I appreciate you watching and sending in that question. Absolutely. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's pretty quiet today. I kind of figured that because it is a Saturday, and Saturdays are always much more quiet than they are on Friday. And we'll probably wrap things up in about 5 minutes or so. Get to watching this Wisconsin Michigan game, Edinburgh up on my Clarion Golden Eagles 41-7, and we are not even at half. That's ugly. Looks like Wisconsin Michigan's about to kick off, I think. Over on ABC. But any other questions, please send them in here. Let me. Almost forgot to keep running the coaches film. Hey, Dan from Edinburgh. Is it pronounced Edinburgh too? Is it what they say in Scotland? The same here in Pennsylvania. But very cool. Glad you could be tuning in. Really appreciate it. I know you've been around the last couple weeks, Dan. So thank you very much, man. Glad you're liking everything. Yeah, this is really fun to do. I love talking to you guys. Love talking football, even after bad weeks like this against the Eagles and the worst loss under Mike Tomlin. I think it's a little, in a way, cathartic to get to talk about it and just vent a little bit and just explain what happened instead of just kind of sitting there in a rage and just angry and brooding about the loss. So yeah, I always like doing this. And again, we'll do this on Friday. Just wasn't around yesterday. I was taking the day off, so couldn't do it yesterday. But most of the time, it will be Friday at 3 p.m. We'll do these live streams and chats because there's definitely more people around. And if there's ever any change to that, I will probably let you know in the Thursday mailbag if something happens and I can't do this Friday for the live stream. And if I can't do it Friday, then almost definitely it'll happen on Saturday. Yep, thank you, Dan, for watching. If you have any last second questions, please let me know and enjoy your day in Scotland. I gotta travel. I've never been outside the U.S. before, so I need to get out of the states one time, get out of the little bubble that I'm living in right now. But I guess first step is leaving mom's basement before we start worrying about getting on plane and leaving the country. So we'll go through here a couple more minutes. See, Michael says other side of the ball. It sounds like Hayward Bay will be the slot receiver. Is this being done to get his blocking skill? No, I just think it's about he's a veteran guy. He's played there before. He knows the whole playbook. He knows what to do. And I think Marcus Wheaton's going to start in the slot. So I think that's just kind of another option to put Hayward Bay in there. If they want to move Wheaton to the outside, which I'm sure they do at times, then you can move Hayward Bay inside. So you're just having options there. I think Hayward Bay is a really smart guy. Reese defense as well. He's not an ideal slot guy because he isn't that shifty, guy that Eli is and Wheaton is. And his yak ability is not great, even though his speed is there. If that makes any sense, he's not much of a yak guy. The way that you have to be in the slot, and his hands aren't the best. They're not as bad as probably the narrative is, and they've definitely gotten better. But he's not the most reliable target. I'll say that. Neither is Wheaton, though. For that fact, Wheaton's hands are kind of rough actually, and I know he's playing with a shoulder injury, but even beyond that and before that, his hands have always kind of been a problem. Some drops that you shouldn't have. But I just think it's just having that guy there is nice to have because Haley asks his receivers to be versatile, at least to be able to play everything a little bit. Eli Rogers can play on the outside a little bit. Sammy Goods can play in the slot a little bit, but that Wheaton can play inside out, AB can play inside out, Hebe can play inside out. So you have all that kind of flexibility and versatility. So you can create the matchups that you want, and you can move guys around and keep defenses on their toes. And so it's harder for corners to shadow a guy like Antonio Brown because he lines up all over the field. So if you're a cornerback, you better be comfortable playing in the slot if you really want to shadow Antonio Brown. You better be comfortable playing left and right side, field and boundary, all that. And if you're not going to shadow Antonio Brown. That's why Josh Norman didn't do it, because Norman isn't that comfortable doing it. He's always been a left corner. So they didn't want to put him in that spot because it's just something he's not used to, and you try to put players in positions that they're familiar with so they can succeed. So that's kind of a hallmark or calling card for Todd Haley's offense, is to be able to move guys around. So just for matchups, if injuries ever strike, you're not hurting. It doesn't limit you so that you can't go 11 personnel because you don't have a slot receiver or whatever the case is, or you're putting in a guy in a position where he can't succeed because he doesn't have experience there. He doesn't know the route tree from the slot, because the route tree from the slot, the route tree from the outside, totally different. So I think that's one of the big credits to a guy like Todd Haley, and most teams do this, but it still should be said and recognized that these guys are in positions to succeed. You're never going to put a guy in a position not to succeed offensively, at least. I think it's a credit that should be recognized to that, because it is important, and you don't realize how important it is until it gets you in trouble and you're screwed, and there's an injury, or there's a matchup that you want to get and you can't do it. So I think they're prepared and they have foresight in doing that. That's a nice job by Villanueva there to find work on is that Marcus Smith. Check that out. Nice job there. Find work, and then he ends up helping out the other way. Alright, let me check questions here one last time. I think that's all on the questions. All right, we're going to wrap things up a little bit early here. This will be archived to Steelers Depot on the post that's up right now, the one entitled Bloggers and Basements, Talking Steelers, the live stream. We'll be back next Friday, 3 p.m. Or 3:30. I don't know. Probably 3. We'll go 3. If it changes, you'll hear about it on Twitter or on Depot. Remember the mailbag every Thursday at 2:30. That runs for an hour. That is the chat, not video wise. And then we do the regular video, just me talking to about a play or two throughout the week. Wednesday or whatever. Not really a chat format, but just trying to incorporate some new stuff with that as well. Thank you, Dan, for watching. I just saw 2 new people join, so if you guys have a quick question about something Steelers related, feel free to ask. I'll hang around for another 1 minute, see if we get another question, because I just saw a couple more people just join the stream. Again, Alex Kozora, Steelers Depot. Again, just doing our little live chat, live stream. And, hopefully better results against the Chiefs. Chiefs are a tough team, no doubt about it. The secondary is really good. Even though the pass rush hasn't been there statistically in sacks, the pressure's been there. Their D-line is strong. They rotate well. They're well coached. They are kind of a carbon copy of the Philadelphia Eagles, offensively at least. Andy Reid just basically brought all of his Eagles friends over to coach them. You can look at that on my scouting report, though, on Steelers Depot. Went up yesterday. Offense and defense and special teams reports with myself and Matthew S. and Josh Carney. All right. I don't think we have any new questions coming in, so I'm going to stop the stream. But thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Some good college football, and hope for a Steelers win on Sunday. So we will talk to you soon, guys.